Good day, viewers. We're back for recipe number 3 in the Minotaur Trading Company recipe cookbook contest. And we'll be using the Minotaur Extreme Menu number 4, beef with mushrooms and sauce. Let's get the stuff out on the table and find out what we're going to make. Okay, so we got the beef and mushrooms out of the ration. We have our Minotaur Trading Company olive oil, Worcestershire sauce powder, cheese powder, a couple packets of salt, ounce of said extra virgin olive oil, ice water, half a cup of all-purpose flour. That's right, people. We're making a pub beef and mushroom pie with a real crust. Let's get some mixing. All right, I went ahead and put the beef and mushroom inside of our cup. Add a little Worcestershire, stirred it in there to give it a little more pub flavor. Now, let's go ahead and get this crust right here in front of your very peepers. Salt, about quarter teaspoon. 1 ounce of Minotaur Trading Company olive oil. And we whisk that until we get some crumb-like consistency. Not to worry, it looks a little dry, but we're going to be adding some cold water as soon as we get this a little more mixed. So we're getting pea-sized crumbs, break up some of the oil that's clumped up. Alright, so now we need to add a tablespoon of water. You may need more or less depending on where you're from. Don't worry, that floaty in there is a little piece of ice because I wanted to use cold water beans I was in the house. All right, let's go ahead, continue mixing till it starts clumping together in bigger pieces. As soon as it starts doing that, that's telling us that it's time to get it out and to forming my crust. Normally I have a plastic cutting board that I use, but it's disappeared. So get our dough, start forming it into our top crust, pressing it together, flattening it out, pressing it together, flattening it out. Want to get to about the size of the top of the cup there. It's a little dry, so may not work as intended, but we shall see. All right, let me find my lifter. All right, I got my little spatula. We're going to move a little close to the crust. And it seems to be drying. Yep, it's a little too dry. Back into the bed. Let's go ahead and add a little bit more water. You know, sometimes it happens, you know. It's all part of experimentation. Now, you're doing it like this. Might make it a little tough, but when you go to make it, you won't make the same Oh yeah, that's a mess. But hey, it tastes good. Messes are okay. Alright, go ahead and brush a little water on, because water helps with browning with olive oil crusts. I'll go get this in the oven and be back when it's finished cooking. And there it is. Now, when I tested this dough earlier today, I did it 3 or 4 times with some beef stew and turkey tetrazzini, and they worked fine. They came out a little pale like this, but it's still got the flaky texture of a crust. Tastes like a crust. It's cooked. I just can't seem to get the rounding, and maybe that's because there's no real butter in it, just butter powder and olive oil. It's really, really hot. I'm going to let it cool, and then I'm going to take a bite. Maybe brushing it with milk would provide a little more color, but unfortunately I don't have any of Minotaur's new freeze-dried milk, or I would have done that. So it's just going to have to get by on taste, and that it's a pie crust made from olive oil. All right, it's time to taste it. Now, if you're making this out in the wilds, you could bake this in a 64-inch bush pot, turn on its side with a rack in there. You make sure that the lid's tight fitting, put it in some coals. It'll make a convection oven, and you can bake and maybe get some brownness. Anyway, so let's go ahead and take a bite. Let's see. Oh. It is thick. Need a rolling pin. See if the make sure the inside is warm enough. That is good. Let's try. That's good. Crust is good. Not too salty. Little crunch on the top. Tastes like pie dough. The beef and mushrooms, very good. Probably could have did better with maybe putting some Bass ale in it. All right. That is way hot, so I'm going to have to let it cool to finish it. But I hope you enjoy the recipe. Again, you can use a crust for beef stew, chicken tetrazzini, vegetarian chili, anything. Just make sure that, you have a little extra water to make sure that dough holds together. If you can, if you're somewhere like in a house, maybe chill it for a couple minutes. Get something to roll it much thinner, because pressing out with my hands, it's still a little thick. So in the really thick parts, a little doughy at the bottom, but the thinner parts around the edge, perfectly cooked. And that's because I rolled it out too thick. Well, I hope this recipe makes it in top 5. And stay tuned for more MRE experiments with the Minotaur Trading Company's MRE Recipe Cookbook Contest.